Have you noticed your children calling less frequently or making excuses not to visit? Do family gatherings feel more strained than they used to? What if I told you it's not their busy schedules or the distance that's keeping them away? It's certain behaviors you might be displaying without even realizing it. In this video, I'll reveal the 5 specific behaviors that are pushing your adult children away after age 60 and exactly how to fix them starting today before it's too late to rebuild. Those precious relationships. Let me tell you about Charlotte, a 67-year-old widow from Oregon. For years, she couldn't understand why her 3 adult children gradually stopped visiting or calling. Sunday dinners became monthly, then quarterly. Birthday celebrations got shorter. Phone calls became increasingly brief and infrequent. Charlotte blamed their busy lives. After all, they had careers, children, and responsibilities of their own. But deep down, she felt abandoned and confused. Then one day, her oldest daughter Samantha finally gathered the courage to tell her the painful truth. It wasn't their busy schedules keeping them away. It was certain behaviors Charlotte exhibited that made spending time with her emotionally draining. Charlotte was devastated, but that honest conversation became a turning point. Once she recognized and changed these behaviors, her relationship with her children transformed within weeks. They started calling more, visiting voluntarily, and actually enjoying their time together again. The same transformation can happen for you, but first, you need to recognize what might be pushing your children away. Let's dive into the 5 behaviors you must stop immediately if you want to rebuild those connections. Behavior 1. Constant negativity and complaints. When was the last time you had a conversation with your children that didn't involve complaining about something? Your health, the government, today's youth, the cost of living. Constant negativity is the fastest way to drive your children away from you. Family psychologists at the Cornell Family Relations Institute confirm that persistent negativity is the one reason adult children limit contact with aging parents. Dr. Jennifer Morris, lead researcher at the Institute, explains, when every interaction becomes a dumping ground for complaints and criticisms, adult children start to associate time with their parents with emotional drainage rather than connection. They begin to protect their own mental well-being by limiting these interactions. Take Robert, a 72-year-old retired postal worker from Michigan. He couldn't understand why his son and daughter seemed to make shorter and shorter visits. His phone calls with them became increasingly brief, often ending with sudden excuses about needing to attend to something urgent. What Robert didn't realize was that he had developed a habit of complaining about everything. His neighbors, his doctor's appointments, the news, even the weather. Every conversation turned into a litany of what was wrong with the world. His daughter Angela finally explained during a rare visit, "Dad, we love you, but talking to you has become exhausting. You only focus on the negative, and we leave feeling drained every time." Robert was shocked. He had no idea his attitude was pushing away the people he loved most. Here's what you need to do right now. Implement the 3-to-1 positivity rule. For every negative comment you feel compelled to make, challenge yourself to share 3 positive observations. Did your knee hurt today? Also mention the beautiful weather, the delicious lunch you had, and the pleasant conversation with your neighbor. Start keeping a daily gratitude journal where you write down 3 good things each day, no matter how small. Before calling your children or seeing them, review this journal to remind yourself of the positive aspects of your life. Begin conversations by sharing these positive observations rather than launching into complaints. When you feel a negative comment forming, ask yourself, is expressing this necessary? How will it affect the person listening? Sometimes simply pausing before speaking can break the negativity habit. Remember, your children want to enjoy your company, not serve as an emotional dumping ground. Are you willing to make this simple change to see your children more often? Behavior. 2. Unsolicited advice and criticism. Do you find yourself constantly telling your adult children how they should live their lives or raise their kids? Do you frequently begin sentences with "you should" or "if I were you"? This behavior might be why they're avoiding you more than you realize. Research from the Center for Family Dynamics shows that excessive advice giving creates resentment and defensiveness in adult children. Dr. William Stevens, director of the center, notes, "Parents often believe they're being helpful by offering guidance. But when that guidance becomes constant criticism, it signals to adult children that they aren't trusted to make their own decisions. This perceived lack of respect creates distance." Consider Diane, a 65-year-old former teacher from Arizona. She prided herself on staying involved in her children's lives, especially her daughter Emily, who had 2 young children. But lately, Emily had been cancelling visits and sharing less information about her life. Phone calls became shorter, with Emily offering only vague updates about the grandchildren. The turning point came during a rare family dinner when Diane criticized everything from how Emily's son was dressed to her husband's career choices. Emily finally broke down. "Mom, do you realize you haven't said a single supportive thing all evening? It's always criticism, always how we should be doing things differently. This is why we've been avoiding you." Diane was stunned. In her mind, she was just being helpful and showing she cared. She never realized her advice felt like constant criticism that undermined her daughter's confidence as a parent and adult. Here's what you need to do immediately. Practice the ask first approach. Before offering any advice, simply ask, "Would you like my thoughts on this?" Or, "I have some experience with this. Would it be helpful if I shared?" Then respect their answer, even if it's no. Replace "you should," "you." Statements with supportive questions like, "What are you thinking about doing?" or "How do you feel about the situation?" These questions show you respect their judgment while still allowing them to benefit from your perspective if they choose to. When you do offer advice, frame it as your experience rather than absolute truth. "When I face something similar, here's what worked for me," instead of "here's what you need to do." This subtle shift acknowledges that their situation is unique and ultimately their decision. Remember, your adult children need your emotional support more than your direction. They want to feel you have confidence in their abilities, not that you find them lacking. Can you start making this change today? Behavior 3, emotional dependency and guilt trips. When was the last time you made your children feel guilty for not calling or visiting enough? Have you used phrases like, "I guess you're too busy for your mother," or "I'll be gone soon anyway," to manipulate their behavior? This emotional dependency might be driving them further away than you realize. Studies from the International Institute of Family Relations show that emotional dependency creates anxiety in adult children and makes them less likely to initiate contact. Dr. Linda Peterson explains, "When parents use guilt as a tool to secure attention, they're actually training their children to associate contact with discomfort. Eventually, children begin avoiding interactions altogether to escape the emotional burden." Consider William, a 74-year-old widower from Florida. After his wife passed away, he became increasingly dependent on his 2 daughters for emotional support. When they couldn't visit or call as frequently as he wanted, he'd leave voicemails saying things like, "I've been sitting here alone all weekend," or "I guess you have more important people in your life now." At first, his daughters responded by calling more frequently and making special trips to visit. But over time, they started dreading his calls. They felt trapped in a cycle of obligation rather than genuinely wanting to connect. His younger daughter finally explained during a difficult conversation, "Dad, we love you, but every interaction feels like you're making us responsible for your happiness. It's an impossible burden to carry. Here's what you must do right now. Develop emotional independence by building your own social circles and interests. Join a community group, take a class, volunteer, or reconnect with old friends. Having multiple sources of connection means you won't place excessive emotional demands on your children. Replace guilt-inducing statements with appreciation when they do make contact. Instead of, "Finally you called," try, "It's so wonderful to hear your voice." Instead of, "I haven't seen you in months," say, "I'm really looking forward to our time together." Most importantly, when you do speak with your children, focus on their lives rather than just your needs. Ask specific questions about their work, interests, or challenges. Show genuine interest in their responses without immediately relating everything back to yourself or your loneliness. Remember, healthy relationships are built on mutual enjoyment, not obligation. Your children should want to call you because conversations leave them feeling good, not because they fear the guilt they'll experience if they don't. Are you ready to break the cycle of emotional dependency today? Behavior 4. Boundary violations and privacy invasions. Are you showing up unannounced at your children's homes? Calling multiple times a day when they don't answer? Questioning every aspect of their personal lives, from finances to relationship decisions? These boundary violations might be pushing your children further away than you realize. Family therapists at the American Association of Family Psychology confirm that boundary violations are among the top reasons adult children create distance from parents. Dr. Michelle Carter notes, when parents continuously disregard boundaries, adult children often respond by creating even stronger boundaries, sometimes cutting contact altogether as a form of self-protection. Take Patricia, a 68-year-old retired nurse from Texas. She couldn't understand why her son Brandon had become increasingly distant. He stopped sharing details about his life, screened her calls, and always seemed to have an excuse when she wanted to visit. What Patricia didn't realize was that her habit of dropping by his house unannounced, asking intrusive questions about his marriage, and offering unsolicited opinions on how he spent his money had created a wall between them. The situation came to a head when Patricia used her spare key to enter Brandon's home while he and his wife were away for the weekend, just to check on things. When Brandon discovered she'd been there, he was furious. "Mom, this has to stop. You can't respect basic privacy, so I don't feel comfortable sharing anything with you anymore. Here's what you need to do immediately. Establish clear communication boundaries and actually respect them. Always call before visiting and accept 'now is not a good time' without taking offense. Limit your calls to a reasonable frequency and don't call repeatedly if they don't answer. Before asking personal questions, pause and ask yourself, would I expect this level of access to a friend's life? If the answer is no, reconsider whether the question respects appropriate boundaries. Topics like finances, intimate relationship details, and personal conflicts should only be discussed if your adult child brings them up first. Apologize for past boundary violations without excuses or justifications. A simple, "I realize now that I've been overstepping, and I'm sorry. I'm going to work on respecting your privacy moving forward," can begin the healing process. Remember, respecting boundaries doesn't mean your relationship is becoming more distant. It actually creates the safety and trust needed for genuine closeness. When your children know their boundaries will be respected, they'll be more willing to invite you into their lives. Can you commit to this change today? Behavior 5, refusing to adapt or embrace change. Is your rigid thinking and resistance to new ideas making you increasingly difficult to be around? Do you find yourself saying, "That's not how we did things in my day," or "I'm too old to learn that now," whenever faced with something unfamiliar? This unwillingness to adapt might be driving your children away faster than you realize. Longitudinal studies from Harvard Center on Aging show that flexibility and openness to change are key predictors of healthy family relationships in later years. Dr. James Wilson explains, "Seniors who demonstrate curiosity and adaptability maintain stronger connections with younger generations. Those who rigidly resist change often find themselves increasingly isolated as family members tire of the constant friction." Consider Thomas, a 70-year-old retired accountant from Ohio. He prided himself on his traditional values and firm opinions, but couldn't understand why family gatherings had become tense and why his children seemed eager to leave early. What Thomas didn't realize was how his refusal to try new things or consider different perspectives had made him increasingly difficult to be around. He rejected every new technology his children suggested might make communication easier. He refused to try new restaurants, dismissing any cuisine that wasn't American food. He shut down conversations about changing social norms with dismissive comments. His daughter-in-law eventually stopped suggesting family outings after Thomas rejected every idea that wasn't familiar to him. His son finally explained during a phone call, "Dad, spending time with you feels like stepping into a museum where nothing can ever change or evolve. It's exhausting to constantly navigate around your refusal to try anything new. Here's what you need to do starting today. Practice the weekly novelty challenge. Try one new thing each week, no matter how small. It might be tasting a new food, learning a simple feature on your smartphone, or visiting a new place in your community. The specific activity matters less than developing the habit of embracing new experiences. When feeling resistant to a new idea, practice asking why not, instead of immediately saying no. This simple question creates a mental pause that allows you to consider possibilities rather than defaulting to rejection. Show interest in current trends, technologies, and ideas without immediately judging them. Ask your children to explain concepts you don't understand instead of dismissing them as unimportant. Phrases like, "I'd like to understand that better," or "Could you show me how that works?" open doors to connection instead of building walls. Remember, adapting to change doesn't mean abandoning your values or wisdom. It means remaining engaged with the evolving world around you, and by extension, with the lives your children are actually living today. Are you willing to step outside your comfort zone to remain relevant in your children's lives? These behaviors didn't develop overnight, and they won't change instantly. But by addressing them one by one, you can rebuild the meaningful connection with your children that you both deserve. It's never too late to change how you interact with your adult children. Small adjustments in your behavior today can lead to more visits, deeper conversations, and stronger family bonds tomorrow. Remember, stop the constant negativity by practicing the 3-to-1 positivity rule. Eliminate unsolicited advice by asking permission first. Break free from emotional dependency by building your own social network. Respect boundaries and privacy to rebuild trust. And embrace flexibility instead of rigid resistance to change. These 5 simple shifts can transform your relationship with your adult children before it's too late. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button right now. Comment below which of these 5 behaviors you're going to work on first. I personally respond to comments and would love to support your journey. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming video on rebuilding trust with distant adult children. And please share this with someone you care about who might be struggling with family relationships. You might just save the most important connections in their life.